as long as you stay tuned to Just Chillin' with Glenn Collins.
We're two of a kind, make it a go.
Welcome to Just Chillin', a program dedicated to issues relevant to today's teens. I'm Ellis, your host. Tonight we're talking about the Underground Railroad. Once again, the number of the station is 368-2207. That's 368-2207.
Stone Cold Steve Austin here with a short message for the kids in Cleveland. I ain't one of the pack. I do my own thing in the World Wrestling Federation. I don't give a rat's what anyone thinks as I stand on my own. Be like Stone Cold, be your own man. You don't need drugs to make you strong. You just need yourself. So stay strong, be yourself, and say no to drugs. And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so.
Okay, welcome. At this time, can you introduce yourself to Cleveland?
Hello, my name is Demetrius Lambert, and I'm a naturalist at Garfield Park Nature Center, which is a part of the Cleveland Metro Park system.
Okay, Demetrius, for the young people out there, can you explain your position, a little information about the Nature Center?
Sure. At Garfield Park Nature Center, we have a variety of different exhibits and programs that are designed for the general public. Homeschool programs, programs for preschoolers, 3 to 5-year-olds, teenage programs, and of course the adult program. Majority of our programs are natural based, but we do offer cultural programs such as the Escape on the Underground Railroad, which is a reenactment that we have each fall at Garfield Park. Well, actually in the Bedford Reservation, but done by the staff and volunteers of Garfield Park. As a naturalist, we design those programs for the public, natural as well as cultural history programs, and we take them into the community, and also we allow the community to come to us for various things, identification of leaves, bugs, questions on water quality, how to get rid of skunks in your front yard, things of that nature.
Okay, so you're pretty familiar with bugs and trees and...
I would say.
Okay, we're talking about Escape on the Underground Railroad. Can you explain that program? Why that program?
Why the Escape on the Underground Railroad program? That's a pretty popular question. Due to the fact that the Underground Railroad ran through the Cleveland area, Cuyahoga County, in the Bedford Reservation, there's actual historical document, and we know that the Underground Railroad Trail, or one of many trails and escape routes, passed through the Bedford Reservation. Well, as a naturalist and staff of Garfield Park, we are responsible for programming the Bedford Reservation. And oftentimes we pretty much are mainly focused on natural history, but it gets to a point where you can't really talk about natural history without incorporating the cultural ties. Therefore, we decided to do this about 4 years ago, and the program has continuously grown. There have been many changes. It's an extremely popular program, and pretty much because we're limited in within our nature center to only have this in the fall, we continuously have more and more people in the public who are asking for an extended season for the escape program.
I guess the first question would be, what exactly is the Underground Railroad?
What exactly is the Underground Railroad? The Underground Railroad was a connection or continuous connection of paths, safe houses, escape routes that the slaves from the South used to travel northward. After 1850, the 1850s, various laws, fugitive slave acts were passed, which basically forces slaves to continue out of the continental United States over into Canada. So the Underground Railroad was, like I said, a connection of different slave routes, paths, abolitionists, different movements of those who were trying to abolish slavery and help Southern slaves escape.
Okay, do a lot of kids ask you about trains and those kind of things?
And adults.
Really?
And adults. A lot of people, because of the lack of information that has been given in schools concerning the Underground Railroad, a lot of people really do believe there was an actual train that ran underground, transporting the slaves from the South to the North.
Wow. Okay, who presents the program again?
The staff and volunteers of Garfield Park. This program is heavily dependent on the volunteer staff there, and we have approximately 25 volunteers who help participate in this program each year.
I guess the first question I would have is, how reliable is the information?
The information is extremely reliable. Like I said, the original program began approximately 4 years ago, and through the times, even when we've added changes. For example, last year we added 2 characters to the program. A lot of historical research has time, effort, and energy has taken place in order to put those characters into place, to develop those characters. And oftentimes characters are developed around actual historical characters from U.S. history.
For example,
For example, when we take different, the bounty hunters or abolitionists, or better yet, the conductors. The conductors. Most people know about Harriet Tubman, and so we took some of the things that Harriet Tubman did, some of the things she actually said, and used those things to format or formulate other characters that are conductors in our program.
Okay, I'm kind of curious. What are some of the famous things that she said or did?
Well, one of the famous things that a lot of people know Harriet Tubman for doing was she carried a gun and she never let anyone on her train go back. So once the slaves escaped or began their escape, if for whatever reasons they were afraid, too cold, the weather conditions weren't right for them, they wanted to go back, Harriet Tubman wouldn't allow them, and she even threatened to shoot them and kill them before she would allow them to go back. So that is something that our conductors tend to use for those who don't want to travel on.
Okay, I guess that's kind of deep because a lot of kids who have never go camping, they're afraid of the sounds in the night, the birds, the bats. And I guess for some slaves who were indoor most of their lives, it would be kind of frightening.
I'm sure even for those who were constantly out in the element, it would still be frightening, because you have to realize that these people didn't call up AAA to get a triptych or type up on Yahoo to get a map of where they were going. Oftentimes, many of the slaves had never been outside of their plantation. So this would be their first experience going to an unknown place and leaving their plantation. So I'm sure it was extremely frightening.
Okay, what did they go through? I mean, coming through Bedford Reservation, whatever, what type of insects or bugs or trees?
Well, coming from the south to the north, there are a lot of differences as far as the type of trees they would see. And further north, they would begin to see different trees, like you said, insects. I don't think they probably pay that much attention to those things, but in our program, we do talk about following the sycamore trees and using trees while traveling at night, particularly when it's cloudy, because moss grows thickest on the north side of the trees. We also talk about the slaves should leave at the change of the seasons, and they would know the change of the season by watching the birds migrate. And oftentimes they would even follow the birds
Really?
while the birds were migrating to know the direction, because we all know that birds migrate to the south, during the winter time. And the change of the seasons, when the peasant calls, of course, when the leaves on the trees change, different things like that.
That's pretty cool. I guess other question to me, what can you expect during the program? What happens once you're...
During the program, what to expect? There's so many things to expect. Aggressive language.
Okay, what does that mean for the audience out there?
For audience, aggressive language, you do have to remember that this is a reenactment and you are participating as a slave of 1852. So the terminology will be different, the mannerisms of the people that are dealing with you, of course, the costumes, and slaves were not treated very nice.
Okay, let me ask you this. So everybody who comes in, black, white, Hispanic, they're all slaves?
Yes.
Okay. And how does that work? And why?
Why? In order to effectively reenact what the slaves went through, everybody needs to be on the same level. and so everyone needs to be a slave. And so what we do in the beginning of the program with an introduction is kind of do a time travel. We talk about various racial, ethnic things that have happened in American history, a lot of them being very influential in policy changes and changes of laws throughout our country. And at the end, we explain to everyone that you are now a slave from 1852, coming out of Alabama, and you're traveling.
Okay, I guess how do the kids not of color react to that? Your experience?
I think it takes them a while to really get used to it, and I don't think people really understand until they hit the auction block, and everyone is mistreated at the auction block. So it becomes evident after a short while there that, okay, it's not 2,000. You know, and even some of the small things I see that people have problems with, including the children. Some of the small things, like they're given instructions to get down on the ground. Well, for children who are not used to rolling around on the ground, that could be kind of traumatic for them. And they're like, "Who are you talking to?" And of course, that wouldn't have been proper for a slave to question authority in 1852. So the children sometimes have a hard time with that, but quickly they tend to get in line.
Well, that's pretty deep. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to take a music break and listen to a couple songs off of, what's the name of it?
Northern Kentucky Brotherhood Singers.
And Not Wading in Water, but the other song.
Go Down on Moses.
Go Down Moses. Once again, the number of stations 368-2207. If you have any calls or comments, please do so. Thank you.
In Egypt land, let my people go.
Am I on? Okay. Hi, I'm Buzz Sandwich, good friend of Lynn Collins, host of the Just Chillin' Show. And right now, you can call this number, 861-4246, for a special giveaway.
Let my people go.
Okay, welcome back to Just Chilling. Once again, we're talking about a program entitled Escape from the Underground Railroad, sponsored by the Cleveland Metro Parks. Once again, can you reintroduce yourself to Cleveland?
Sure. My name is Demetrius Lambert, and I'm a naturalist at Garfield Park Nature Center.
Okay, before the break, we were talking about young people not of color who go through the program. What do they say after they've been through the program about the slave experience?
For a lot of children as well as adults, it's an eye-awakening experience because they've read about the Underground Railroad before in elementary school, or they've heard something about it, and most of the time they always say they didn't realize really what slavery meant, that the people did not have the ability to look their master in the eye, and they couldn't say the things, they weren't free to express themselves. And that seems to be something that all ages pick up on right away.